What is going on, everybody? My name is Manuel. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and in this video, we are going to continue our TypeScript journey. So, if you watched the previous video, so you have learned a lot of stuff like arrays, tuple, enum, and other types. So, basically, in this video, I'm going to continue this whole TypeScript journey, and I would like to firstly tell some buzzword that I believe I didn't cover in previous video. So without wasting any time, let us start our video and see that what we can learn. So let me share my screen. Alright, so here you are able to see my screen. So let me give you a quick recap of the previous class. So we have learned so much thing in the previous class, like this type any and number, string, and there are a lot of types that we have covered so far in previous videos. But right now, what I'm going to tell you, I'm going to tell you about some buzzwords. So what are these buzzwords? So let's talk about it. So like you have learned some new stuff in the TypeScript, and someone asks you like, "Hey man, what is a dynamic type? How you are going to like answer this question that what are dynamic type in TypeScript?" So basically, if you go and watch the previous video where I explain everything regarding this type any. So basically this thing. So let me uncomment this. So this thing is basically type any, right? So let me okay. So what is this? This is basically type any, and this is also known as dynamic type, right? So that means you already know that any type, but you don't know that it's also called as dynamic type. So that the any type basically revert TS back to JS. So it's kind of like if you just put any, so it doesn't. So the variable will not check which type of value you are providing it. So this is basically a dynamic type. So this is what we learned in the previous video, and let's talk about that. What is the union types, right? So again, like if someone asks you about the union type, so how you are going to be answer that question. So the in order to understand that union type, so we need to understand the definition. So what is the union type? Right? So a variable that can be assigned more than one type is basically a union type. So for example, if I just show you, so you can see that here uh, in the array, I just assign a single type, which is a number array. So this is a single type, so it is not a union type. And if you see that on this line number 46, so let me zoom a little bit. So like you have a, so this basically means like you can see that number and string. So this is the union type, right? So what we have learned so far in this in the last I guess 5 minutes, we understand a union type and we understand the dynamic type. And there are other things like literal type. So we can refer to specific string and number in type. So let me give you an example. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to close this from here and go back to our folder where we are creating our folder. So Control Shift 10. Let me create a new folder, class 3, and let me go inside this file, Control A, Control C, and go back to that folder, Control V, and open this inside the VS Code. Alright, so here is our code. So let me remove everything from here. Let me save this. So what is the literal type? So the definition is we can refer to specific string and number in any position. So for example, like I have a variable which is like direction. Alright, so we are talking about literal types. So we can like refer to specific string and number in any position. So that I just created a variable and the type should be like up and down. So let me make everything capitalized. Alright, so this is our direction. So in order to use that, so you can only assign that variable up and down, right? So if I just save this, and you know that how we can make this code compile. So TSC, that's the compiler, and just click enter. So it will compile our code, and if you see the FJS, so here is our compiled code of JavaScript. You can see that there is only a simple variable which is initialize, which is declare on line 3 and initialize on line 4. Basically, declare means we just declaring that we are going to use a direction variable, and initialize means where we are initializing and providing a value to it. So that is the meaning of initialize and declare, right? So if you see that there is up and down. So what that literal type means? So suppose like I am going to assign another type, let's say down, so it will allow me. But if I try to say left, and that means left is left, and if I try to save it, and I'm going to run this dash w, so it will watch everything for me. So you can see that now TypeScript is giving me error that left is not assignable to type up and down. So this is the way of like we can use the literal types. So I believe that this is some interesting thing that you can like use inside your code. So let's move on our next topic, and let's see what we are going to learn so far. So far, if you see that we have learned union types, literal types, and we have covered dynamic types. So what are the primitive types? I already explained this previous video, I guess, or maybe the first video. So primitive types are, so there are total 7, not 8, 7. Uh, so what does mean? Primitives means just like old and traditionally followed types, that is coming from JavaScript, which is string, and we have number, we have begin, we have boolean, and we have undefined. Undefined is also a type, and null, and the last one is symbol. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right? These are the primitive types. So which means that you can use these primitive types kind of like the similar way that we learned in the lesson 2, I guess. Yes, in the lesson 2 or in the part 2. So like if you want to create a variable, so you need to like assign the type. So you can use the primitive type, and you can assign the value. So this is how you can use the primitive type, right? So these are the main thing that I would like to like. I was thinking that I need to told you before like anyone going and ask you that regarding the unit type and dynamic type and literal type. And let's move to our next topic, which basically is type aliases. So what is type aliases and how we can use it? So let's understand it. So let me comment this code also, right? So what is TypeScript type aliases? So basically, TypeScript allow you to define separately from the variable that you can use them. So basically, TypeScript will allow type to be defined separately. Means that you can define your own custom type, uh, and you can use it a similar way like we have seen in the line 9, where we are specifying the type string. So let's see that how we can use that. So basically, if we are going to use and create the TypeScript type aliases, the first thing we need to write in order to, so like if you are creating a variable, we need to type let const for the variables, for the constant variable, so you can use const. So similarly, we need a thing or a word to declare a type, or tell the TypeScript that we are going to declare a type, which is type. So no new fancy word here. Alright. So what is type? Basically, type is allow you to like specify multiple or multiple types together, or you can create your custom type. For example, I am creating a like variable, uh, and I need a type for that, right? So let me give you an example really quick. So basically, type aliases allow defined type with a custom name aliases. So aliases means you're already familiar with. We can give a custom name or kind of like nickname, right? So let me create a variable. So I'm not creating a variable, sorry, I'm creating a type here, right? So I just created a type here which is called car here, right? Which will be number. So how we can use it? So suppose I'm creating a variable. Let me click let's use the const here. So const let's say car here, and let me capitalize this. So we are going to use the Pascal case here. So let's say my and car, and I want to set the type would be car here. So here you can see that TypeScript is giving me suggestion to use this, right? And I need to set a value for here. So like I'm going to type a string here. So this is my car here. So my car is pretty much too old. So basically it's from 1993. So you can see, and let me log this. And when I'm click save, you will get an error. So why? You can see that type string is not assignable to type number, right? So you can see that we have a type here car here, not number, but it is still giving us that we cannot assign a number. So basically, we can use our custom type here, or we can just give already created type or already provided type by TypeScript to another name. In that case, we just give a nickname to that or a new name to that number type to a carrier, and we can use it right. So you can see that we are getting an error, and if I just remove this and save this and just put a column here because I'm a PHP developer before. So and everything just got well, and if you see here, there is our variable and there is our car, right? So this is how you can use the type aliases, but it will help you like helping you in order to like creating some awesome feature for your project. So let me give, I think I can believe I can give you a really cool example. So I'm going to create a new type, and this is like a string, or so this type is string or number, alright, which and I'm going to use here union type, and let id string or number equal 24 altogether, and log id. So if you see this example, so I just created a new type which is called type string or number, which is basically a type aliases or my custom type, and I just tell that if someone uses type string or number, so it should be string or number. So if I type here on line 22, you can see that 24. So if I just put normal integer 24, it will not give me an error. And if you see that uh, if I try to like add string 24, it will not give me error. But if I try to give something else, like if I put array here, so it will give me an error. If I just say true here, so it will give me an error. So this is how you can use union type with type aliases, right? So this is the like I believe a really cool example because you have used two TypeScript concept in that in this particular variable, right? So this is type aliases, and let's move to our next topic, which is object. So let's talk about TypeScript object. So basically, TypeScript object types specify the shape of object, and if I give you an example, so basically, if I create a variable here, and let's call it like poet, and then we have a poet object, which it's kind of like the same object that we used to see in like normal JS. And let's give a key here, and the value would be 1935, and let's give the name of that poet. So we are going to refer Mary Oliver, which is a famous poet, I guess. Let's add a semicolon here. And now this is a like common JS. So if I try to like say log poet, and there are two ways to accessing the property or of object. The first one is this, and the second one is using a dot syntax, right? And if I save, and if I save this, so you can see we have 0 error here, and if you see here, we get the same like normal JS object here. And if I try to run this, right? So basically, what I want to do, just say node dot slash dist app JS. You can see it is working, right? We can access the born year of the poet, and we can access the name of the poet. But what happens if I try to log a property that does not exist in this object, like died here, and try to save it? So you will get error that type does not exist on type number boolean name string, right? So objects types are a core concept for how TypeScript understand JavaScript code. Basically, right now you can see that I didn't define any type here, but it is inferring the type. If you like remember the thing that I told you in our first video, I guess, or second video, where I told you the concept of like what is infer. Basically, infer means it's take the uh, type value from the value, right? So this is the value. So now if we see that this is a number, so if I hover on this, you can see it is telling us that this bond, because you assign it to an integer, so it will be now a number, right? So this is how that default object works in TypeScript. So inferring type directly from existing object is all fine and good, but eventually you will want to be able to declare the type of an object explicitly. So you will need to find a way to describe an object shape separately from object that satisfy it. So basically, how we can do this? There are multiple ways. So let me go here. So if you want to like type all this syntax in TypeScript way, so you can do also that. So let me give you an example. So I just create a variable, and now which is kinda like an object, but here we are defining the type for it. So the first thing that we are going to use, it's called bond. It would be number, and name would be string, and let me save this. And now if I try to say quote letter equal, and now I'm going to try to assign the value that, so let's say bond, and say 1935, and name, save this. You can see I have no error, and this is and if I see that compiled code, so it's kind of like same like we created in JavaScript. So this is how we like type the object in TypeScript, right? So this is the proper way to like create a object in TypeScript. Why I use this syntax, because this can also infer. So suppose like is born here, so we can also like accept here string as well, right? So if I just type here, I can type anything here, so I can still use this. But if I try to like use this and let me see you. So let's say you can see the icon is here, and if I try to assign this a new value, which is say similar, let me just copy this one Jan 1935, and if I try to assign this here, so basically it will give me an error. So you can see that it's saying that string is not assignable to type number, right? So because this is inferring, and there is no way that I know that we can define this type of syntax in CommonJS using this type of syntax. This is the way that we can use the object in TypeScript. So let's move to our next topic, which is function. So I hope that you understand the concept of object. So I'm going to remove this line, otherwise it will not run my compiler here, and it's still giving me error, and it basically TypeScript want me to like please compile fix that error and compile it again, because I'm running watch mode. So this is the reason. So if I run this again, you can see everything is working. So this is the example, like you have seen that this is how we can use the object on the script. But there is another way. So like if you see this line 20, you can see that on that line we have specified type, and that line I just create a let variable, right? And just define some types inside this, and then initialize, or sorry, declare a variable. So it will give me no error. But what is if I want to use a type? So TypeScript will report a type error if a variable is declared with an object, and TypeScript and type's initial value has more than field than its defined type. So therefore, declaring a variable to be of an object type is a way of getting the type checker to make sure it has only the expected fields on the type, right? So let me create an so we have our port, and you can see I just copy everything from here and just paste it there, and let me add a semicolon here and save it. So you can see that port is here, and if now I want to create object from this port using that. So how I can this? So let me create a new. So port object, and now the similar way that we are using like colon and then the type. So we have learned in that if we have a custom type, how we can use it. If you like avoid the aliases part of this video, you just need to copy this here, paste it there, and then so let me take this PON as font, all shift F, reformat it, and say is missing the following property. So basically, you can see that I initialize an empty point object with the type of point, and it is giving me a red line here, and it's telling me that the type empty object, you can see that they are two curly bracket, is missing the following properties from type, which is point bond, point, because we are using the type point, and the missing properties are bond and name, right? So if I try to like type here, which is not exist in this property, so let me start with a simple example. So I'm going to copy this here and paste it here, so it will work, right? We are not getting any error inside the console, or not any warning in here. And if you don't believe me, so let me show you as well inside the console. So let me copy the object name, paste it here, save it, and if I run here, so you can see that there is our object, right? So that means it is working. So but so what is the like benefit of using this custom point or custom type here? So let me add another value, which is like, so this is a post, so what he is doing right now. So let's say activity, and he is like walking right now, right? And if I put here save and try to save it, so you can see that the bond is string a name, A string is not assignable to type void. Why we are getting this error? Basically, if you so it is telling us that you cannot use the activity because it does not exist in our pool. So this is the behavior of the default TypeScript because we don't have declare any activity property uh, inside our type void, so that's why we cannot use it. So if you want, you need to define inside a type. So this is how we can use the TypeScript object. So let's move to our next topic, which is really awesome thing, and the name of the topic is function. So TypeScript has a specific syntax for typing function parameters and return values. So if you like see a function, so what does a function contain? So it's as the function name, and that function can return something, and based on your input, which is like parameters that you provide inside the function, it will return something or it will print something, right? So TypeScript has some specific syntax. So let's start with TypeScript functions. So let's talk about the return type. The type of the value returned by a function can be explicitly defined. So for example, let me create a function here. I just misspell here. So this is the function. This is traditional way or old way of creating a function. So let me just name that function. So it says like time, not accept any parameter right now, and the return type that I want from this is number. Basically this function will return the number. So let's say return, and let's say new date dot get time, right? So if I just run this function, so you can see that I will get an integer here. So if I hover on this, so you can see that it's a function timer colon and number. So basically this is a return type of this function. So if I run this, so I'm going to use our old way of doing or managing things. So I'm going to open a separate terminal here, zoom a little bit here, and just say node dot slash this app. You can see this is our number, and if you don't believe me, so I can say type of, I hope that this will work. You can see it is saying that it is a number, right? And if we return something else from this function, so let me just comment this line and try to return anything like a string, or let's say, so it is giving the error. So it says type stream is not assignable to type number. So you can see this is not allowing us to return string. But similarly, it will not accept array here, not object. It will not accept anything, just a number. So if I just say 456, so it will allow us because we are returning the number, right? So this is the return type and how you can use the return type. But there is also another thing, which is if for example, you just created a function that has no return type. Let me give you an example, then I start explaining, right? So I just created a new function. Let's say my fun, right? And it will not return. And just removing this and copy this line, copy this, paste this, and save this. So you can see that if I am hovering on this particular function, it is telling me that it will return the number. But if I just type anything here, so now it is saying me string. So basically it is now same inferring the value return value from this the final and string that we are returning, right? So this is the example of like infer. And there is also another scenario like you have created a function that did not return anything, right? So TypeScript said that my function 2, let's call this, copy this, paste this here, and now instead of returning anything, it just log new date, right? So now if I hover on this, it will say void. So by default, is not because it is not inferring from the value of this function because it is not returning anything, so it is saying void. And the best way, if you have this type of function that is not returning anything, so you can say type void here. So basically now that, because there are some functions that do some work or that used to like print some stuff, so we can use void. If you have like any other function that is returning array number anything, so you will put here. And if you don't, if you like use the original way of JavaScript, so it will so the TypeScript will infer the value from the return value. So this is how you can use the return type. All right, so let's talk about the parameters. So there are add, let's say multiply, because multiply, and it will take two things from us, A and B. And this is the, and I'm going to use arrow function now because you can see that we are using the old function return, right? So return, and let me copy this and say it will take me to number. All right. So I just try to like create a function in a normal way, like we have created in JavaScript. But that is what is happening right now. You can see that it is giving us an error, and to say that parameter A implicitly has any type, and B parameter implicitly has any type. So what does mean? It's saying that right now I'm just providing a 4 5, which is like valid case, and if I see it show here, so you can see it will still work. So for example, if I go here and let me clear the screen, so you can see that 4 5 are 20, so it is still working. But why this it is showing us error here? Because it can be like dangerous. So like if I just say put a string here, because it is taking as type any, so it will work, it will still work, right? So if I say, you can see that we have 20, but what if I just say ABC here, and let's check this example. You can see we are getting NaN stand for not a number, right? So this is a very really harmful thing uh, in your code, or this is a really this can create a lot of bug inside your code. So how you can fix this and how we can use the type number system. Similarly, if we have a variable, so basically this parameter is a variable for us that we are using. So let's say number here. Let me make this smaller, and comma number, not comma, column, and you can see that now it's start working. So actually I just made a mistake. Actually I'm start working on JavaScript, right? Now it is fixed here, and now what I want, I'm going to here and say file A and try to save this and try to run this. You can see we are getting NaN, which is not a number. So this is a very harmful, and this is I believe like it's a buggy code. So how we can fix this? So let me say you can see that we are not getting any error here. So in order to fix this, let's say we want number here and we want number here, right? So now it is telling us that this argument of type string is not assigned to the parameter type of number. So basically it is telling us please use number, yeah, because you are providing a string. So before compiling or before running our code, we know that we will get an error or we will not get any expected output, right? So if I just run this again, we can see 20, and if you see the normal JavaScript, which is compiled JavaScript, so you will not find any difference here. But here you will like start getting some warning and error. But if no parameter defined in TypeScript, so basically TypeScript will default to use any that I show you earlier, that it will use any. What if like you have a third number, and let me create a new function called subtract, right? And it will take like three numbers. So right now, as soon as I like type the C here and try to compile the code, because on line number 93 you can see that I just provided two arguments here, 4 and 5. So the TypeScript compiler is telling me that, hey, if I hover on this, so it says argument 3, expected 3 argument but got 2, right? It is saying that, hey, where is the another output. So there is a really cool way which you can use in object as well, that I didn't show you, but you can use it like called optional parameters. So if I just put C here and just put a like question mark here, and if I try to run this again, so you will not getting any error and any warning here, because by default TypeScript will assume all parameters are required, but they can be explicitly marked as optional. So now it's an optional parameter, right? So if I try to run this, it will work. You can see 2020, because this 20 is from here and this 20 is from here. So what I need to do is just say -1, and you can see -1. If I say here minus C, alright, so now we are start getting some warning here, because object is possibly undefined, because we have just saying that C is not here. So how we can deal with this? So here we can use this logic. So if C, then use this, and otherwise return this. So now you can see that there is no warning and error here, because I have to know that this code that is showing on line 92 will only run when we have like ABC. So this is how that you can use the optional parameters. And there is some other thing that I want to show you regarding that functions, and which is our next topic for this particular functions section, which is called default parameter. So sometimes like if you don't want to put this condition here, so we can also use the default parameter. So let me copy this here, paste it here, and let me call this subtract with default, right? So this is the subtract with default function. Let me paste it here. Let me remove this line here, and let me say Alt Shift F, and let me remove the extra spaces from here. So you can see that we are getting some error here. So I know that they are on our compiler or on our terminal. So let us ignore this. So for parameter with default value, the default value goes after a type annotation, right? So what that means, like I just type say C optional and the number, and I can assign like 0 here. So if I just type 0 here, so it will telling us that parameter cannot question mark and initializer. So it says optional, and so I just need to remove this, and now this code will start working. and if I say like 10 minus 4, which is 6, and if I try to run this, so we are getting 6, and if I just type comma and say 2, so now we will get 4, I guess, right? So this is how you can do the default parameters. So so far we have done with functions. So that's it for now. I hope that I have covered so many things in this video. So till then, keep learning and enjoy every day of your life. So don't try to think that you are not able to learn the TypeScript, because I know it's a start hard and it look hard in the beginning, but sooner you will start learning everything, and you will not find any problem with learning a TypeScript or using a TypeScript. So if you want to like change your career, so you can use the TypeScript as I already told you in our first video. So I hope that this video helped you in learning the TypeScript. Till then, let's see you in the next video. So Allah Hafiz, peace.